Hello and welcome. My name's Cara from carawild.com and this is Ask It Ancients. And today's question is from a viewer who wanted to ask the ancients about Lemuria. And Lemuria is something that the ancients are really interested in and they are a part of. And I have been working personally with them to I don't know if I can find the language. It's kind of like to activate my Lemurian self and to embody that aspect of me. I haven't read much about Lemuria. I don't know a massive amount about Lemuria. But it is what I am to channel about, I think. So today's question is really interesting for me too. So if you wanted to know about Lemuria's history and more importantly, how is that relevant to now? And I know that some of you feel like you're connected to Pleiadians, but still involved in anchoring Lemurian energy into our physical reality. And for me, Lemurian energy is connected to the fifth dimension. It is, when I've channeled before on Lemuria, it's very clear to me that Lemurians are empaths and that they worked for the collective, but also for the individual within that collective. There was an ability to do both really elegantly, and that there was a strong connection to nature and to the directions, to the elements. And I'm building my understanding of what it means to want to, what I call, remember Lemuria. I know that some people have already talked about Lemuria remembered, and to me that's really similar to Peter Levine's work in trauma, where you are literally feeling the sensations that arise in your body from a past trauma as a way of remembering yourself, like putting yourself back together. Like parts of us get scattered, you know. In shamanic terms, it's a soul loss, a trauma. It's parts of you separate from your whole when you experience a trauma and freeze in time and space. And for me, the process of embodying Lemuria in physical reality is a very similar process, and we are regathering our galactic selves. And anybody that has been following me long enough knows that I really struggle with this language, but what's happening to me with channeling light language and channeling sound and tone, and my embracing my galactic shamanism, you know, where I do work with people to go and gather different aspects of their galactic nature, which has been fragmented in time and space in past lives. And we are now getting to a place where is like living from the heart as our fully dimensional self. And so it makes sense to me that we need to go and gather our different aspects from different dimensions. And I know for me personally, I've been on a journey of really embodying my Pleiadian self and feeling like, you know, my Pleiadian self is just all that I'm interested in. And then I went through a process of kind of like really getting to know my Syrian self, and that came through running for me. And then I've had experiences recently where I have felt like an alien. You know, I've literally felt like my head is bigger, my brain is bigger. I've been working with people that on my energy body that have said, you feel like an alien. I'm like, I know, get that a lot. So I think those of you that are drawn to my particular channeling are probably really drawn and connected with Lemuria in some way. And part of the language is interesting. I was going to say part of the drive, but part of the impulse, I think, to co-create another Lemuria, a more modern Lemuria. And I love the fact that this question about Lemuria is really focused on the practical day-to-day, like what does it mean for our here and now? What does it mean for our modern times? Because I don't know about you, but I don't want to miss out on all the good stuff that our tech has created. And nor do I want to be a part of Atlantis again, where, you know, might have blown a few things up and got that a bit wrong. But I want to learn how to work with the elements, not just nature herself, but, you know, with the elements, and weave the elements and work in that kind of witchcrafty way, but with a sense of awe and wonder and beauty and majesty and the gentleness that seems to be Lemuria. The, you know, Brené Brown's work about having compassionate boundaries, the immovability of the no, but not having to scream and shout the no. That, those kind of teachings that are around at the moment, and all the work around Byron Katie, which is helping everybody move towards unity consciousness and living in that field of unconditional love. Those two teachings to me seem to be really relevant to what I understand Lemuria is going to be about. When I first channeled the ancients on what Lemuria was like, I saw life that they were empaths. You know, we were empaths, and we lived as a collective, but they also had a really strong sense of their individuality within that collective, and those psychic connections, those abilities to read and honor other people's emotions and mental states, but still retain a sense of individuality, which is the whole reason for coming into physical reality, isn't it? So I'm really fascinated by it all. I've hardly read, like I say, I've hardly read anything about Lemuria. Most of it has come through my own experience with my guides and my own wanderings, but I am beginning to look more deeply into it. So that's what I'm going to channel on today, is how the history of Lemuria can help us embody it and live it in a day-to-day basis. Like what does that actually mean for us in the here and now? So I will see you in a bit, and we'll see what wants to come through today. All right, it is a pleasure to be here with you this day. Indeed, this is a very wise question, and it's also a very grand question. And we mean grand by, there's lots of components to it. It's a very big question, the history of Lemuria, and the the history of Lemuria, and the allowing of that again to be remembered in physical reality is something that we're going to be channeling on for the rest of the channel's life. But the channel has informed us that it's nearly tea time in this house and she has children to feed, so perhaps we'll not do it all in today's session. But we are indeed honoured by our friend who has asked the question of us. And we know that this particular friend has a connection with flowers and is indeed concerned with the elements and earth and where she is going, and what humanity is doing to earth. So the particular component of Lemurian energy that we want to remember with you today, so that you can construct your own experience of Lemuria. You see, because it's a very personal journey, and it's your heaven on earth, it's your delight, it's your dance, it's your life. And Lemuria was more about the qualities than the actual form, and the form that once was will not be the same again, because creativity, you know, the creativity of physical reality is always new. That's evolution. So you're not here to recreate the past. You're here to live your now and to imagine and envisage the future that you wish to see. So joy was the way Lemurians navigated their world, their life, their individuality, their uniqueness, everything. It was the cornerstone of everything they believed, because they were connected to the original intention of physical reality, which is an adventure, you know, an adventure in consciousness, but to be navigated through joy, always joy. And so today we wish to talk about the quality of play, because play activates joy. It energizes joy. It is the route to joy. It holds within it a sense of curiosity. When you're in a state of play with yourself or with your life or with nature or with energies, with anything, play brings with it a sense of curiosity, of childlike wonder, of innocence. And what we mean by innocence is looking at the world anew, again and 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 again. So yes, you learn from your past, but you bring from your past the qualities, the ideas, the beliefs, the experiences that you want to repeat. It's not supposed to be protecting you from that which you don't want to create. The past is a framework for creating the wonderful future that you want for yourself. So on a practical level, play is extremely practical. It's very much dismissed in your reality. You know, play is something that children do. Play is something that simple folk do. You know, play is something for outside of work. It's a way of letting off steam. And we would say that the way that a lot of you let off steam outside of your work is not play at all. It's an attempt to de-stress. It's more a distraction than play. Play is very purposeful. Play moves you towards something enjoyable rather than, you know, going for a drink after work can be considered play, but a lot of the time that's a distractor, you know, away from what you don't want to feel, what you don't want to experience. Play is complicated, complex, not complicated, it's complex. And what does this have to do with Lemuria? Play with energies. You know, you ask of the elements, you ask about the elements, and Lemurians knew, and those of you that are drawn to the elements know how to work with them as raw material to create form. And play is the way that you engage the elements. So even in your meridian system, in your energy field, there's something that's known in your physical reality as the strange flows. You know, it gets things moving, gets the joy pumping around the body. And the easiest way of engaging those is to do things that feel like play to you. You know, dancing, laughing. How do you want to play? How do you want to enjoy your life? What do you want to do that brings you a sense of aliveness? Play is an attitude that can activate joy. And the strange flows in your energy bodies are the way that joy, the energy of joy, the flow of joy, the components of joy interact with your physical reality to attract form that allows for more of an embodiment of joy. So an embodiment is simply being able to act it out in physical reality. Act it out in physical reality. That's what it means, embody. So how do you act out joy? How do you want to do that? Play is the way to activate that knowing of joy. Play engages an innocent, childlike wonder. It frees up your creativity. In order to play, you need to feel safe. So even the tiniest amount of play opens you up, because you tell yourself you're safe enough to feel play, to be able to play. When you're in play, you're actually connected to a different part of your brain. The part of your brain that is connected with future orientated information, where your wisdom is, where you can access more of your Lemurian self, your frontal lobes. And Lemurians had large frontal lobes. Within the frontal lobes is the ability to psychically connect with all that is in physical form. It's where much of your empathic abilities lay. And it is how you can engage more with the elements in physical reality and to weave into form your physical reality, to work directly with the building blocks of your physical reality. You will at some time in your evolutionary future remember how to call the fabric of reality into your energy being, the sacred geometry, as you call it, the sounds, the tones, the frequencies, and to focus on that and bring that into your energetic body, in your where your consciousness is housed now in this lifetime, and to slowly anchor that down through the spiritual body, the emotion, the mental body, the emotional body, and into the physical body, and then surround your physical form with that which you want to create and experience. Right now you do it primarily through your thought and your emotions. You're in resonance with something and you are magnetic towards what you're in resonance with, but you are moving to becoming more deliberate and conscious creators. Lemurians, this is a story, because how you experience physical reality right now is very different to how Lemurians experienced it. So only stories can help to give an impression of what it was like and what you're going to be capable of, but it's not exactly how we're going to describe it. But in essence, what happened was Lemurians looked to the sky. They had the thought, the impulse to create something. They'd gone beyond simply, well, they'd not gone beyond, they didn't focus on simply serving the self, although they saw nothing wrong with that. But they were focused on the next best thought for all of that they were in connection with. So that could be the creation of the next crystal to be utilized as a conduit between realities, for example, some kind of communication system or tool. Let's use that as an example. And so there was the idea of creating crystal. And so first of all, they had the thought. Then the next loving impulse was to do this. And so they wondered, you know, what would that be like? What they trusted the impulse, never questioned the impulse, trusted the impulse. What was the essence of the form? I would look to the heavens, as it were, and begin to see the energetic components that would be required to help manifest this into physical form. And they started with the energetic building blocks, and so they may call through the tones, playing around with the beauty of sound until something just right. They could feel it in their bodies, as it were, something just right. They'd created a portal, they'd connected with something, a particular shape perhaps that had a feeling tone to it. They worked very much with feeling tones. They would grok it, would just be right for them, much as your musical composers or your poets catch something in the air. They hear it, it is a part of them, but not them. That creativity. And they would pull it in into physical form by focusing on it, by appreciating its beauty, by forming a relationship with it. And it would come closer and closer to physical reality, and it would get to a stage where it would come through, land in physical reality. And once it had got to that point, there was very little that they could do to change the form significantly, but they would use the essence and qualities of wonder and appreciation to get the best out of that which had been created already. And they'd learn. There'd be some contrasting experiences of, oh, if within the crystal that particular facet had been a millimeter to that side, would have increased its beauty exponentially. Next thought, next impulse will have that component to it. So the contrast was barely there. There was barely contrast, yes. There's contrasting shades of beauty. And we understand that, you know, that's a wonderful story. And how it's relevant to you now is an understanding that the components of creating a reality here and now in physical form, you know, they've never changed. It's always the same. It's just the focus and the contrast is slightly different. There's a great polarity. You know, things were pulled apart, good and bad, left and right, up and down. But it's more the difference is the contrast. And the contrast is created by the judgment. Contrast is created by judgment. And that's the part that's your first step towards your remembering of Lemuria, and dropping the judgment. And we would suggest that you begin with self, dropping the judgment of self. Radical deep self-acceptance. Because you were the next best thought. And then you are your next best thought. The you that you experience is up to you. The mind constructs a vehicle that you use to navigate your physical reality. That's your starting point. Your mind constructs your vehicle, and we don't just mean your physical body. We would like you to start off with the mental vehicle. You know, how are you going to navigate physical reality as you? You know, if you're never enough, you're not worthy, you're not deserving, enough of that. You are beauty in action. Your creation wandering at itself. What else is possible for me? So your world right now is shoring up a positive ego through self-acceptance, so you can transcend the need for negative ego, so you can transcend the need for ego at all in the way that you're experiencing it now. So ego is your anchor into physical reality. Without one, you couldn't be here. But it's only supposed to be a lens through which you view the world and navigate preferences. Always the intention was to look beyond the ego towards your connection with what you see around you. But first of all, you have to shore up your own ego. And that's where many of you are at. And that's exactly where you're supposed to be. So Lemuria as a concept is being activated with many of you that have the capacity to embrace unity consciousness, to pave the way and create a field in your reality for the next generations to come through and experience and grow and build more and more and more. So there's many of you that are way showers. You're bringing up your children to not judge themselves. You're speaking out in your reality of where you see judgment. And the trick is to not judge the judging, yes? To know that it's required and needed right now, or it wouldn't be in existence. So your work, the living on a daily basis of Lemuria now, the starting work is the dropping of the judgment of self and others. Self primarily, and then others don't have to act it out for you. And then you can see more of the beauty and wonder and awe that is truly there. But at the moment, it's masked by the plays that you need in your life to mirror aspects of self that are not being accepted. So as we said, it's a broad question. Play. For those of you that are listening to this channeling now, play is the antidote to hard work, which is driving your sense of worth, which has no place in the energies of Lemuria that you're looking for. So our questions to you are, how can you feel safe enough? What beliefs about yourself and the world do you need to let go and embrace so that you feel safe enough to play? And what is your flavor of play right now? Where is your creativity taking you? Where do you get lost in time and space? Even if it's just for a few moments and then you have to come back and check, like this channeling, yes? When the channeling connection is the strongest, there's no attention to the fact that there is anything else other than what's going on in the channeling right now. They're in the moment, the channel is in the moment of their own creativity, and it is nourishing, it is hopefully inspiring, it definitely is to the channel. She's doing it for nobody else but you, but herself, yes, hoping that it serves others, but it's her own enjoyment, her own creativity, her own sense of play. And then she remembers the tasks. I need to come and check this physical reality. And the connection just is still there, but it goes a little. And it's going to be the same with you and your own sense of play and creativity and wonder and awe. You're going to get lost in it for a while, and then you might have to come back and check that everything's all right again. You've merged, you've let go, you've gone into unity and wholeness more, and then you remember your sense of individuality and the world that you're living in. And it's all right, you're going to move between states. You're at a very pivotal point in your evolution. Are you sick of hearing that? Yes, but it's true, you are. And it's going to last for a little while longer. But there's those of you that are beginning to really be able to surrender and trust and let go and live moment by moment. But play around with play. Increase your capacity to play. Give your permission, self-permission to drop the seriousness and to play. The biggest barrier to play is wondering what other people are going to think of you. And you're going to have different forms of play. So, for example, channeling is a wonderful state of play to the channel. And so also is building sandcastles on the beach. There's many delights. There's many experiences that awaken the delight of the senses, get those strange flows going and become magnetic to more joy. And so with that, we will leave you for now. We hope that has illuminated some piece of the jigsaw puzzle, and that is Lemuria, yes. And for now, in peace, we bid you farewell. Okay, well, they're right. I do have to go and make a tea. So I hope that was useful. Any comments, please leave comments below. Get in touch with me at cara@carawell.com. And remember, if you have your own question for the ancients that's not of a real personal nature, because it's better to come for a consultation with them, with those kind of questions. If you want to know what your higher purpose is, what your soul purpose is, how you can embrace your soul purpose, or you've got a current challenge in your life, then those specific individual questions are better for a consultation. And I'm happy for you to have one of those. But if you've got a more global question that would benefit many people, then if you email me at cara@carawell.com with the title #AskTheAncients, or tag me anywhere on social media with the #AskTheAncients, then I will put your question into the flow. Have a wonderful, playful day, and I will see you soon.